Imagine you are a British explorer in the year 1907. You are drifting down a slow-moving river in the Congo basin, miles away from what you consider civilization. You are tired, you are hungry, and the humidity is suffocating. Suddenly, a massive dead rodent floats past your canoe. It is bloated, swollen to the size of a small pig, and it is decomposing in the heat. The smell is so putrid that you are literally gasping for breath, unable to speak. You try to signal your guides to steer away from this floating nightmare, but instead of avoiding it, they haul the rotting, swollen corpse aboard. They don't throw it away, they eat it. The explorer was Arnold Henry Savage Landor. He wrote that the odor when they dug their knives into the flesh was enough to kill the strongest of men. Yet, his companions smacked their lips, declaring it most excellent eating. We like to think of our ancestors as noble hunters, the masters of their domain, taking down mammoths and grilling fresh steaks over a campfire. We call it the Paleo Diet. But history, and the biology hidden inside your own body, tell a very different and much grosser story. What if I told you that for millions of years, a staple of the human diet wasn't fresh meat, but rotting, maggot-infested carrion? What if I told you that your stomach is biologically designed not like a lion's, but like a vulture's? Today we are going to look at the microscopic history inside your gut, to discover how eating garbage might be the very thing that made us human. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy uncovering the strange, forgotten, and sometimes disgusting sides of history, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. We are decoding the past, one scientific fact at a time. Let's start by dismantling a myth we have all seen in museums: man the hunter. For decades, since the 1960s, a dominant theory in anthropology was that hunting defined our evolution. We find butchered bones, so we assume a heroic chase ensued. But a new wave of research is challenging this image. Recent studies published in the Journal of Human Evolution argue that scavenging wasn't just a desperate survival tactic. It was a recurrent, necessary strategy for early humans. Think about it from an energy perspective. Hunting is expensive. It takes massive amounts of calories, time, and involves high risk of injury. Scavenging, that is essentially free energy. A dead hippo or a beached whale is just a massive packet of fat and protein waiting to be opened. But there is a catch, a deadly catch. Pathogens. In the wild, a carcass is a biological time bomb. Within hours, it is teeming with bacteria. Yet, historical records are full of accounts of indigenous peoples eating meat that would send a modern human straight to the emergency room. In Missouri in the late 1800s, there are records of Native Americans preparing a prized soup made from the decaying flesh of bison that had been buried all winter and unearthed in the spring to achieve peak tastiness. Up north, the Inuit and Chukchi peoples have a long history of eating fermented fish heads, known as stinkhead, which have the consistency of hard ice cream. American explorer Robert Peary once recounted a story where a hunter in Greenland brought him a rotting seal dripping with maggots. When Peary refused it in horror, the hunter was baffled. He told Peary's wife that the more decayed the seal, the finer the eating. Here is the crucial part. These people weren't dying of botulism. They were thriving. Anthropologist John Speth points out that before the 1900s, reports of fatal reactions to rotting meat among these groups were virtually non-existent. So, if eating rotten meat was so common, how did our ancestors survive it? The answer isn't in their tools. It is in the acid churning inside your stomach right now. Biologically, the stomach is more than just a bag for food. It is a filter. Its job is to kill bacteria before they reach your intestines. And when we look at the pH levels of stomachs across the animal kingdom, humans are an extreme outlier. You might expect us to be like other primates. Chimpanzees and baboons, who eat mostly plants and some fresh meat, have a stomach pH ranging from 3.7 to 6. That is mildly acidic. But humans? We have a stomach pH of 1.5. That is incredibly acidic. To give you context, that is almost exactly the same as a white-backed vulture or a spotted hyena. These are obligate scavengers, animals that survive by eating dead, decaying things. Producing this much acid is biologically expensive. It costs your body a lot of energy to maintain that pH and to protect your own stomach lining from dissolving. Evolution doesn't waste energy on useless features. We wouldn't have evolved this acid bath unless we absolutely needed it to filter out deadly pathogens found in carrion. This high acidity suggests that for a significant part of our evolutionary history, we were specialized scavengers. We became bipedal about 4 million years ago. We were slow. We couldn't outrun a lion. But we could walk long distances to find a carcass left behind by a saber-toothed cat. The problem was the bacteria. The solution was evolving a stomach that acts like a sterilization tank. This actually challenges another famous theory, that fire made us human. There is a popular hypothesis that cooking is what allowed us to develop big brains because cooked food gives us more energy. This was popularized by Richard Wrangham in his book Catching Fire. It makes sense, but there is a timeline problem. Humans, genus Homo, appeared about 2 million years ago. But solid evidence for the controlled use of fire for cooking appears much later, perhaps only around 400,000 years ago. So, how did we power those growing brains for the first 1.5 million years if we couldn't cook our meat? Anthropologist John Speth argues that we didn't need fire to cook meat. We let nature do it for us. It's called putrefaction. When meat rots, enzymes break down the proteins and fats. It essentially pre-digests the food, making it softer and easier to absorb, just like cooking does, but without the flame. In fact, this process even produces vitamin C in organ meats, which is how populations like the Inuit avoided scurvy, despite having very little plant matter in their diet. Some researchers believe that early hominids used stone tools not just to hunt, but to smash open bones for marrow and scrape rotting meat off carcasses long before they learned to roast a marshmallow. But this leads to a burning question. If we are descendants of these super scavengers with vulture-like stomachs, why do we get sick from dirty water or undercooked chicken today? Why can't we just drink from a puddle like a dog? The answer lies in what we have lost. We have changed our environment, and in doing so, we have changed the microscopic world inside us. A fascinating study published in Nature analyzed ancient human feces, paleocoprolites, found in dry caves in the US and Mexico dating back 1,000 to 2,000 years. When scientists sequenced the DNA in this ancient poop, they found something startling. Almost 40% of the microbial genomes they found in ancient humans had never been seen in modern humans. One specific bacteria, Treponema succinifaciens, was present in every single ancient sample. In modern Westerners, it is completely gone. We have lost this diversity because we stopped eating dirt. In the past, our ancestors lived in constant contact with soil, animals, and feces. They drank water from rivers full of microbial life. They ate plants with soil still on the roots. This is often referred to as the old friends or hygiene hypothesis. Our immune system evolved to expect a constant training camp of microbes and parasites. Today, in our sanitized, chlorinated, antibiotic-filled world, the human gut microbiome is only about 10% as diverse as the soil biodiversity we used to interact with. Studies show that urban populations have far less gut diversity than rural populations in places like Papua New Guinea or the Amazon. Remember that vulture-like stomach acid? It is still there, trying to protect you. But because we live in such a clean environment, we don't encounter the same pathogens to keep the system robust. Interestingly, as humans age, our stomach acidity naturally drops. In a modern environment, this makes the elderly more susceptible to infections. In the wild, that drop in acidity might not have happened, or it would have been a death sentence. Furthermore, we see that modern industrial diets, high in processed foods and low in fiber, starve our remaining gut bacteria. We traded the risk of parasites for the safety of supermarkets, but we left behind a massive part of our biological ecosystem. So, the next time you hear about the Paleo Diet, don't picture a clean, lean steak served with fresh broccoli. Picture a scavenger cracking open a bone for marrow, maybe eating something a little fermented, relying on a stomach as acidic as battery acid to stay alive. We are the descendants of the ultimate survivors. We turned rot into fuel. We turned scavenging into dominance. We have gained a lot through cooking and modern hygiene, longer lifespans, fewer parasites, and safe food. But looking at the ancient microbiome, we realize we've also lost something, a connection to the microbial world that shaped us. If you found this deep dive into our evolutionary history fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And let me know in the comments, knowing what you know now, do you think you could survive a week on the real ancestral diet? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.